Already. My name is Carl Rob, co-founder of US partner, but I am here in a non-biased role tonight as the co-host of Scalability in the Cloud. So you see I've worn a Logic Carter t-shirt rather than a vendor branded t-shirt. I have in a previous role worked in a cloud organization that looked after multiple clouds. So I've worked in customers who run in AWS, Azure, GCP, and across all three. So I have plenty of experience, but you're not going to be hearing that from me tonight. You're going to be hearing that from our esteemed panelists. I'd also like to introduce my co-host this evening, Serena Barnsby.
Thank you very much, Carl. Hello, everybody. I'm Serena Barnsby, and I'm a fellow with the British Computer Society, the BCS, which is the Chartered Institute for IT. I'm also head of technical architecture for a technology consultancy. And as some of you may know from previous events, I'm also one of those people who are awarded that title of an AWS community builder. But I have worked over a decade in the Microsoft platform. And first and foremost, I'm an architect and a consultant. So it's about leveraging the right technology to solve a business problem. So irrespective of which platform it's on. Really excited about today's session today. So over to Carl.
Thank you very much, Serena. Oh, welcome to Brighton Cloud. I said that already. Slick, isn't it? Today's agenda. Is it at the times right now? Because we have, okay. So we've arrived and we have networked and we've had beer and pizza. Well done, everybody. It's going well so far. Now I'm introducing you to Brighton Cloud and Silicon Brighton. So we're on time. Things are going well. After that, the panel are going to introduce themselves. So I'm not going to do that. I don't want to steal their thunder. And once they've introduced themselves, we're going to go into a little bit of a Q&A session where they're going to talk about, they're each here to represent a cloud platform, GCP, AWS, Microsoft Azure. So they're going to tell you what the great things are about their cloud platforms. And at the end, we're going to have a bit of a quiz and you're going to be able to vote for which is your favorite cloud platform, based on what the panelists have told you this evening. So that is the agenda for tonight. There will be some prizes, I think. Yeah, what do points make? Nice to see you. Nobody told me, but the event is being recorded, so better buck my ideas up. If you don't wish to be included in photographs or video content, please let one of the Silicon Brighton or Brighton Cloud team know. There's no shame in that. So we are being hosted this evening in the wonderful Runway East premises, and we do have Viva from Runway East, who's just going to come and tell you a little bit about what they do here at Runway East. So Viva, come on in.
Hi, everyone. I work for Runway East Events, and Runway East is a co-working space for businesses and startups. We have loads of names, which you can see here on the wall. And you can have a look at the spaces if you want. And if you have any questions, just come up after the event and ask. I can also give you a tour if you are interested in renting a co-working space or an office. Thank you.
Thank you, Viva. And as you all know, we are supported by the amazing team at Silicon Brighton. So I'm going to hand over to Grace from Silicon Brighton, who's going to tell you a little bit about the work that Silicon Brighton do in the local tech community supporting these meetup events. Wherever you like, I'll come over this way if you want.
Oh, if I've got, that's fine. I can do that. I can do it really so fast. Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Grace. For those of you who do, really nice to see you again. I feel very underqualified to be here, but luckily I don't need to know the bit about the tech specific stuff. We're just here to support. And we are the hosts of Brighton and Host Tech Sector. So this is one of actually about 30 tech and digital meetup groups that happen across the city. All of them are free to join. They're available for people at all levels to come to and attend, and they're all hybrid as well. So as we were just saying, they're all live streamed and then promoted on YouTube afterwards. But the idea behind that is to make these events and then also the industry as accessible as possible. These are all of our amazing supporters. So companies that contribute to us financially on a monthly basis to allow that the meetups that we support to continue to be free. So massive thank you to these local businesses. But we do need help from other businesses or individuals. So whether you have an idea for a talk, or if you want to be a little bit more involved in one of the events, perhaps to help organise, to speak, to volunteer, or to be in any way more involved in the programme across all of the different meetups and groups, then come and speak to myself or one of the team. Maureen and Charlie are both here as well. Would love to have a chat with you about how you might want to make a contribution, however big or small, but your attendance is very much enough and appreciated. These are our values. So just really a reminder that everyone we work with, so the meetup groups, the venues, everyone that comes, really sort of adheres to and aligns with these. If for whatever reason you don't feel that people are aligning to that, or you feel uncomfortable in any way, please let us know. And again, we can address that. You can follow us on socials, so it's really great to join everyone together in person, but we've got a really good online presence as well. We're on Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, all of the usual stuff. This is just an idea of the breadth and variety of events that are coming up. So we've got People Planet Pint, which is a bit of a pub social. Soft drinks are also very much available. JavaScript Brighton. People and Culture Club is coming up later on this week, and then we've got SEO Mindset coming up next week. But if you scan the events, this QR code, we've got a calendar of events with all the different bits and pieces that you can get involved in and come to. And then we also have an online Slack community. So jump onto that one. There's 3,000 or so individuals on there. Lots of different chats across all the different groups for help, tips, advice, and just general sort of like chit chat and connections. So get stuck into that. And if you haven't already and you're gate crashing tonight, that's absolutely fine. You're very welcome, but do join the meetup group so that you can get notified when other cloud events are happening. Oh, I did know about this, but I got thrown finally. I was literally like looking at the group being like, LinkedIn. I did actually know this. There is a LinkedIn group for Brighton Cloud that you can join. And here is the QR code. And I will hand you back to Carl, who will not be improving in the same way as me. Thank you.
Glad I'm not the only one winging it this evening. Thank you, Grace. So on to the main part of the agenda for this evening. I would like to introduce to you our panelists. And in no particular order, Lacey, as you are closest to me, representing GCP, Lacey Rogers. Tell us a bit about yourself.
So I'm a data engineer, so slightly different from these guys, and I've been working with GCP for about 9 years now, and I'm very much a fan, so I'll hand over to John.
And representing Amazon Web Services, it's John Goodall.
You should do that on the podcast. That's great. I love that. Yeah, hi, I'm John. I work for Carl. I'm lead cloud engineer at Logicata, but we're only little, so I do quite a lot. I do pre-sales, I do marketing. I'm a white guy in tech, so of course I'm on a podcast. And so it's
bearded.
Yeah, bearded. The beard is a requirement. I'm also a co-host of the Brighton AWS user group, which was on one of those slides. What else? 4 times AWS certified. Been working with it for too long, 6-7 years. Yeah, I'm dull. I'm an engineer.
Thank you, John. And last but not least, representing Microsoft. I'm never quite sure if it's Azure or Azure, depending, I guess, whether you're in the UK or the US. But representing Microsoft Azure is Jack Tracy.
Thank you very much. So I'm Jack Tracy. I am a senior cloud solutions architect at Microsoft. In our customer architecture and engineering team, part of global customer success. That really rolls off the tongue. CAE, GCS, much easier. I am responsible for something called Azure Landing Zone. So if any of you have looked in our cloud adoption framework, that's what I'm responsible for at Microsoft. I've been in the cloud space and partner space for the last 10, 11 years, and I've been at Microsoft for the last 4.
Well, there we go. Those are our 3 panelists. I think it's fair to say they are all very, very experienced in their chosen specialized cloud. So let's see what they've got to say. on that subject. But before we do, there are some rules of engagement this evening. Although this is Build Cloud Wars, wars have rules. And they're going to hand over to Zarina to talk you through them.
Thank you very much, Carl. Right, let's go over the rules of engagement. So where the term Cloud Wars came from was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek reference to Star Wars. But unlike Star Wars, we have those epic battle scenes and fight scenes and everything like that. Our discussion will follow the ways of the Jedi in a structured, professional, and civilized pathway. So I've got 3 things really to cover over. So firstly is about respectful discord. I have a little joke there, if you're reading that, about unlike fierce lightsaber duels of Star Wars, what we're doing today is a battle of wits and information about different cloud platforms. We're going to prioritize being respectful and attentive listening and making sure that every single panelist's opinion is valued and we're not going to interrupt. We have a 0 tolerance in regards to any negative jokes in regards to any cloud platforms or anything like that. Should we have any joking references or anything like that, or interruptions, I have what we call the blue buzzer. Would you like to hear the blue buzzer? This is half the reason why I did this session. So I can, hopefully I won't need it, but the first, if you get the blue buzzer, so any of the panelist members or anyone else, essentially what that means is the fact that you get 1 warning. Second time round, it will mean that 1 vote will be deducted when it comes to the end poll based on your chosen cloud provider. Right. And again, this is the sound. I will do, yes. We've also got structured timing. So we've got 3 questions which we're going to be asking our fantastic panelists. And we're going to give everybody a countdown timer of exactly how long they have to talk. And then we'll look at resetting the clock for the next panelist. So it's uninterrupted time. I have another buzzer. Are you ready for it? When your time is up, hopefully you can see it on the countdown timer, but you will hear this. I'm so sorry. You should have heard me on the taxi ride. My laptop hitting against it. It was the most interesting taxi competition ever. But yeah, those are the rules of engagement for today's session. Let's have a fair and equitable fight. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Zarina. So, you all know the rules? Okay, let's go. So the first question is all about learning and development. And you're each going to get a chance to go first. We've got 3 questions. You're each going to get a chance to go first. You're each going to get a chance to go last. So this question is all about your approaches to learning and development on your favorite cloud platforms. What advice would you give to someone who wanted to get into cloud computing? How we're going to learn your cloud. First up here is Lacey for GCP. So are you ready on the timer, Zarina, before she starts to speak? 3, 2, it counts down, doesn't it? Yeah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, the pressure of the countdown. So GCP is a relatively new element to the industry, especially when it comes to certification. We were very, very behind on that element. But what we do have, and as I come from a data engineering background, is actually a very accessible platform with accessibility actually growing all the time. And something that I really recommend is to start to get your hands dirty. So setting yourself up your own project, working with the BigQuery public data sets, and really starting to dig into that data and then practicing with other tools like Dataform and the other tools available. The other element, BigQuery and GCP can be a little bit behind on times with some of the documentation. So looking at the groups, looking at blogs, reading Medium is my favorite area to try to find out more information. It is my favorite, John. And also looking at the release notes. So being ahead of the times, testing new things. The biggest thing is to try things and be happy to fail, because I cannot explain how many times I've tried stuff and it has gone wrong. It's about perseverance, practicing, looking for training courses. There is a tool called Cloud Skills Boost, which has got lots of free online training, and you can actually practice in a safe environment. But likewise, you can set yourself up your own project. It is incredibly cheap unless you set up massive, set of cloud engines or apps, that's where it can get expensive. But you do get a $300 free credit for the first 3 months. And then after which you do get a lot of free allowances. So you can really get up to practice. The other thing for anyone who is experienced in other cloud techs, you can actually it's easy to translate from GCP, Azure, and AWS. So it's about looking at the naming conventions. A lot of the functionality is very similar across the board. So really, it's about giving it a try, chatting about it, failing, which sounds very bizarre, and learning from your failure as well. With the advent of GA4 as well, there's lots of opportunities to practice with a very complex data set and really cut your teeth with SQL, for example, but also there's BigQuery Canvas, there's lots of new tools that you can practice on. So that's really my advice. And I'm very excited to hear who will start working with GCP very soon.
You still have 37 seconds if you have any more tips.
Oh, God. I can't think of anything else at the moment. My brain's gone blank.
What do I do with the buzzer now?
You can buzz it. That's a long 3 minutes.
3 minutes is actually longer than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So you just need to reset the timer. Cool. Now Jack is going to tell us all about how you can learn Microsoft Azure. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Awesome. So learning in Microsoft Azure is actually, there's so much to choose from, and actually maybe too much to choose from. So everything is hidden behind our Microsoft Learn platform. So if you head to learn.microsoft.com, you'll find everything to get started. We have everything from our product documentation, which any of you have known Microsoft of old would have known that documentation was non-existent. However, in our cloud platform, it's very much front and center. So everything's got documentation, it's updated regularly, and all of our product docs live inside the Learn platform as well. So you never have to leave the Learn site to find what you're after. When you've maybe decided on a couple of services that you want to go and look into, you can then head into our Learn modules. So they're sort of 15, 20-minute based sort of Q&A style questions where it'll ask you a few questions, multiple choice answers, no marking. It's just to prove that you've understood the content that you're consuming, but a different way to consume that content. And they're really valuable, and there's tons of them. And there are also Learn modules and Learn pathways for each of our certifications. So Microsoft has a ton of certifications. If anybody has all of them, then they've done very well. And they now renew every year. So they used to be 3 yearly. They are now every year, but the renewals are free, and you can take them open book with the documentation next to you. So once you've taken the exam, even in the exams now, you're allowed to open the Learn docs when you're in the exam. So it's no longer a retention test. It's now, how do you know how to navigate the docs? Because that's actually what the real world is. So that's great. We have code samples in Learn, and our newest feature that we've just released in the sort of the last 6 months is following on from what we were saying around GCP, like Learn by Doing. We have applied skills in Learn. So these are scripted labs that effectively ask you to do a certain task. So there are some on the data side, there are some on the infrastructure side, some in networking, some in security, and they will say, hey, go and prove that you know how to implement Microsoft Defender for Cloud, which is our cloud security product in Azure. And it will give you a VM with a lab and an access to an Azure subscription for free, and get you to do these tasks alongside following the documentation. But it will give you high level statements of like, you need to secure this VM by enabling this service. Go find out and go work out how to do it. And you've got everything you need to go and do that in a safe, controlled environment. You've also, in the Learn platform, got your certification profile, so you can keep track of all the certs that you've taken, all the applied skills that you've learned, all of the Learn modules that you've been through, and you earn something called XP, and it's sort of like a gamification that people want as much XP on their profile as possible. And yeah, that's pretty much our Learn platform. So head to Learn, you'll find everything you need to get started, and it's forever evolving. So yeah.
You rehearsed that, didn't you? You timed that to perfection. Well done, Jack. And can I just say, well done, John. You haven't been buzzed yet.
That's what the beer's for.
So last but not least, in this round, it's John Goodall representing AWS. John, tell us all how to go about learning AWS in one.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker. Didn't think you wanted to listen to that. So AWS there's a number of ways of dealing with this, really. I think it was the first to the market, so they've got there's this enormous breadth of first and third party training. They have what's it called, Skill Builder, I think, and there's, again, with the gamification, there's games and things you can do through Skill Builder. You can pass some of the certs through there. I think one of them's free now. I haven't really kept up with it, and this is a terrible pitch. Typically what I've done is more of the third-party training. So you'll find A Cloud Guru is one of them. And these people are kind of multi-cloud. You'll find people that have done courses on Udemy and various other platforms. And I tend to use those. It's a little bit lecture-y, but if you like that sort of thing, then great. They gear you more towards passing the certs, and that's kind of only half the battle, because you can have all 12, 11, 13. They keep changing the number of certs. And that's very impressive. No, I've never not been impressed, but zero experience. So again, it's the learn by doing. There's some elements where there's labs and things, and the Cloud Quest game as part of Skill Builder. Is it Skill Builder? Yeah. Again, has some elements of that, but it's not quite so structured. You do get 12 months of free access, not to every service, and honestly, it could be improved. Hang on, can I turn my own cloud off? Is that allowed? I've not been buzzed, I'm going with it. There is a free tier. It lasts for 12 months for certain things and forever for other things, and there's no free for a lot of it. So it's a little bit opaque, but generally, sign up for an account, just kind of play. I mean, that's a common theme, isn't it? Is just learn by doing. A lot of people learn like that, and then you can kind of top it up and prove competence with certifications. Also does make your life a bit easier getting a job if you wanted to try and do it more professionally and rather than academically, because it gets you through the candidate tracking system, because you can tick the box that you got the cert. Great, wonderful. Other things, AWS run a series of conferences every year. Reinvent's the big one in Vegas if you've got $5,000 to go out there. But if you don't, they run them in all the most of the European cities. They run a series of summits, one day kind of mini learning conferences. Recommend you go down to one of them, up to one of them. Can't really go down from here. The London one is next Wednesday, so pop up to that. It's completely free. Just rock up, wander around, get lost in the maelstrom of 15,000 people in the Excel and learn nothing, but have a good day. Yeah, that'll do.
10 seconds.
It's not copyright if I do it.
Okay, there you have it. That's the learning and development section. So now you know how to go about learning the various different cloud platforms. We have gone QR code crazy. So there are some QR codes on the screen there, which we'll leave there just for a moment. The GCP one will take you through to the cloudskillsboost.google website. The Azure one will take you through to learn.microsoft.com, which Jack mentioned. And the AWS one will take you through to the AWS Skill Builder on the AWS website. So on to the next question for this evening, which is all about the platform. And this time we're going to come to Jack first to tell us what makes Azure great and stand out from the other cloud providers. So click the button, my glamorous assistant, in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So what makes Azure great? Well, obviously a little bit biased, seeing that I work there, but you know, we'll turn that off. I'm here on a personal capacity tonight, not told to be here. I think it's because it's something to everybody, right? So we have like over 150 services in Azure, forever growing and changing. And whether you want something from the data side of the house, whether you want something from the traditional infrastructure side of the house, maybe you're looking at security services that go across cloud. You know, Microsoft have been very good at being something to everybody. So our security products, for instance, not only work for our own cloud platform, but they integrate with AWS, with GCP, and that's not something that a lot of the other cloud providers have got into yet, right? We're very much leading that forefront in the Microsoft way. I think the obvious one to call out right now and a hot topic is AI. Microsoft's investment in AI is astronomical and phenomenal to see. So OpenAI and our Microsoft OpenAI service is bringing a lot of attention to our platform right now, and a lot of new users that we previously did not have. And that's because it's so easy to integrate it with all of the services that we have. So whether you've got data in SQL, or you've got data in storage, or even if you're just using the Azure portal now, there's an Azure Copilot. So you can literally chat to a Copilot from the Azure portal, like, hey, how do I deploy a VM that I need to host SAP on? It will probably give you a half decent suggestion and do it for you, or give you the Cloud Shell commands to go and do that directly, without you having to research the documentation or anything like that. I think it's always had the label of the enterprise cloud. I think it's fair to say, like big, large enterprises who have, traditionally had Microsoft technology, Active Directory, Exchange servers, SQL, SharePoint, all of those things. We've typically taken those customers into the cloud, and that's mainly because they've done Office 365 migrations, and most of us have got probably an Office 365 account or OneDrive or a Microsoft Hotmail account or something like that going on, and it's therefore an easier migration path into us. But with that being said, with the OpenAI services and our breadth of data services now, we're starting to attract startups and more unicorn-based customers that would typically go towards AWS and GCP that are now going, well, hey, we've got all of our emails and all of our data from like our day-to-day lives in Office 365. Wouldn't it be great if we can just get advantage and get access to all of those amazing AI investments that you're making directly by just starting to consume Azure a little bit more? And that's absolutely a big reason for us being a great platform at the moment. I think the other thing is we have the biggest number of regions around the globe. So we have the most amount of data centers around the world. And we've probably got more on the way that will mean there'll be one in pretty much every major country by the end of 25. So I think we're at 65 at the moment and soon to be up to near 70.
Well done, Jack.
You have practiced, haven't you? This isn't fair. Stood in front of a mirror, just going.
I just do this all day.
It is your job. So now we're going to come back to John, who is going to tell us what makes AWS stand out and what are the great business cases for use of AWS in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Liftoff, because you're putting money in Jeff's rocket fund, obviously. I'm sure AWS would love me to say AI, so I am for 30 seconds. AI is obviously an enormous buzzword, and they did kind of follow Microsoft on that, but they've invested $4 billion in Anthropic that make the various Claude models. They have their Bedrock services. They've been doing AI for, I don't know how long. Ages and ages and ages and ages, just not necessarily in a kind of publicly consumable way, or not a way that was billed as all these big LLMs, but there's always been API-based services that do things like image classifications and text recognition and all that kind of good stuff. So they have been a big player in the space for a while. I don't work for AWS, but I think that's the party line. No, God damn. Really, I think what makes AWS stand out, though, is it's the something for everybody. It's, God, I hate that line. 200 and some odd services, the bulk of which you'll find your time in compute. They were the first to the market, and compute is probably the most mature. They invented serverless compute as well. I am a serverless community builder, so I like to talk about serverless, which is great. So they invented serverless. I think serverless is probably the most mature of all the platforms, having used neither of the others, but there we go. And then from there, it's the integration of the services between themselves. Basically, every service, with a little bit of jiggery pokery, will talk to basically every other service. So if you want to take data out of a database, munge it around and shove it out somewhere else, you can do that with not huge amounts of coding. If you want to pull, if you want to run an API, shove some data in the back, again, you can do lots of that with not huge amounts of coding. I've run out of stuff.
I've got a whole minute to go, John.
Freestyle rap battle? I don't know. Other bits about the platform, less platform and more community. There's an enormous breadth of community stuff as well. And if you're going to be doing it day to day, maybe you want to make it your extracurriculars. I mean, I certainly have. So there's an enormous breadth of community stuff that you can tap into as well. There's user groups, and I run one of them. There's a community builders program, and 3 of us are community builders. There's a whole series of serverless of community heroes, and they're great people to get in touch with as well, and just chat with and kind of be engaged, because they're brilliant sorts of people. So it's the community on top of that, really, because if you are going to live this every day and you're not sick of it by 5:30 and you want to make it your extracurricular, it's a friendly place to have an extracurricular. That'll do.
John is not being paid to be here, is what he was trying to say.
Maybe I should be.
Only in pizza and beer. Well, we brought the beer. So we're now going to come back to Lacey, who is going to tell us what makes GCP stand out and give us some use cases for GCP in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Fab. So, interestingly, GCP has many of the other features that AWS and Azure do. So this is going to be on a similar lines to what the guys have said, but actually I want to break down a few different areas, such as there's only about 10% of the market share is GCP at the moment. So for you guys who want to get involved with GCP and really evolve your skill set, and also probably be able to get in a niche market to get them great jobs early on, it's a great place to train and a great tool to learn, especially if you use AWS and Azure. You can transfer your skills over there quite simply. But going forward with the AI side of things, as with every cloud platform, we've now got Omni Cloud, which allows us to ingest Oracle data, and we can translate code from Oracle, for example, or AWS or Azure. Likewise, we've now got a baked-in Duet AI, which is our version, basically Bard or Gemini, baked into GCP platforms. So very similar to what John was saying, is the fact that we are actually able to put a few prompts in and be able to get a lot of the technology documentation up in one place. It is a fits-all platform now. It has evolved over time because, I'll be honest, 7 years ago, it was painful to use. They've absolutely invested in this infrastructure. So BigQuery, for example, Dataform, Compute Engine, has really evolved over the last 2-3 years, and they're continuing to invest in that to make sure that anyone working on GCP's life's a lot easier. And as with AWS and Azure, everything ties in together, so you can actually use it for a full house solution, or you can use it as a hybrid cloud. I use Rocket Mill quite often, Azure and AWS with GCP, and get the best out of each platform depending on what I need to do. Likewise, it is fundamental for apps. So from my experience working in Firebase with gaming apps, it drove every element of our app, from user personalization to analytics, which is obviously my favorite subject, to actually the app development itself, including giving customized offers to users. So it can really evolve and develop based on what your company needs. Most of all, it scales. So if you're a startup, you can have a property, do analysis, build your data, power your apps, power your website for relatively low cost. And then obviously you can scale out to enterprise companies, such as companies like Rightmove using GCP. So this is a new thing for GCP, lots of enterprise companies, and really scaling up to having billions of rows of data. So it is a really scalable tool. And going forward in the future, and I think we're going to be talking about the future very soon, is about BigQuery Canvas and the Dataform canvases, which allow you to really power both your data, your engineering, and your apps and webs through just using prompts rather than actually doing the full code yourself. Obviously, always QA though. The prompts are not good enough yet.
Well done, Lacey. Thank you very much. We should have had a buzzer for AI and buzzed every time somebody said AI. Star Wars has got Jedi. Cloud Wars has got Gen AI. Would have been buzzing all the time. You wouldn't have got a word in edgeways. So, sorry about that. The final elevator pitch. How is your platform looking to the future? I'm sure the AI buzzer would be going crazy for this one if we actually had it. So how is your platform looking to the future, and what innovations are on the no, it's not AI horizon, it's just the horizon. And and if none of you say AI, I'm going to eat my hat.
You're not wearing a hat.
Yeah, well, I've got one at home. So we're going to come to John first, to tell us about how AWS is looking to the future in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hang on, this is a 2-minute timer.
You've only got 2 minutes for this one, so don't waste it.
Oh, good. I fucked up last time. How is AWS looking to the future? AI. No one saw that coming, did they? Again, there's going to be lots of noise coming out about this in the summit. So honestly, go up and have a look because they'll sell it better than I can. And I'm not Werner Vogels. I don't have lots of interesting T-shirts. No one knows who that is. That's Amazon CTO. Okay, cool. It's lots of investment in AI. We've seen some of it already. Expect more to come, realistically. There'll be lots of noise about this, lots of noise in the trade press, lots of, oh, you can do all these cool and interesting things. Look at all these brilliant case studies. Okay, great, lovely. I do think there'll still be continued innovation in the serverless compute space. I'm more tapped into that than AI, if I'm really honest. And there's been, again, lots of really interesting changes and features in that. Nothing new and groundbreaking, but lots of nice tweaks, quality of life improvements, generally making your life easier and better to work with. I'll also probably get some more certs, and I'm not above bribery, so I'll also be giving out some swag in a minute. Is that platform future? I don't know. I'm going with it. Yeah, generally expect lots of innovation in compute, AI, probably some storage, expected to get cheaper. AWS has a habit of making everything cheaper all of the time. Making everything cheaper all of the time. Maybe not always cheaper, but price to performance has gotten historically better on every new generation of every service ever. So you expect to spend less money, get more compute, and have more artificialness in your intelligence. There we go.
We weren't ready with the buzzer. So
2 minutes is easier.
well, there's less time left at the end for you, yeah. But so over to Lacey to give us her final elevator pitch for GCP in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That seems to be getting longer every time.
So I'm going to make Carl eat his hat because I'm not going to go down the AI path at the moment. There will be little hints of AI in this part. But GCP are actually working very much for a carbon neutral service. And for me, green data warehousing and green app design is really key because actually I think it's about 3.5% of America's emissions, for example, are from the internet, which is not great. And we all contribute to that. So actually being really efficient working both through your processing, which that's where AI might help in there. Mentioned the A word, but that will definitely support you in terms of building optimized code, optimized processes, but also Google are doing a lot of work there end to support actually eco-friendly analytics and eco-friendly app design by, for example, having saltwater cool in their Finland data centers. I believe that London is cooled by air. So there's lots of things that they're doing on that side of things to do technical infrastructure. And the aim is, I think it's by 2030, I can't remember the exact date, is that all the server centers will be carbon neutral or actually doing a net negative, I can't remember which way it goes around, to actually contribute to reducing carbon footprint across the internet. So for me, that is future-proofing us because ultimately, if we have lots of bad stuff happen in the world, we probably won't be using the clouds as much. So for me, that is the future-proofing element. But going back to the AI side of things is using Gemini, using the tools like Duet AI, which is probably going to change names again at some point, and BigQuery Canvas, and also the other tools within the GCP infrastructure, you can also reduce your carbon footprint. And just being aware about what you're doing with your processes is really key. So that's why I kind of made you eat your hat, Carl.
Maybe I'll just eat the peak.
Yeah.
So, last but not least, we have Jack, who is going to tell us how Microsoft Azure is looking to the future in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So it's quite a similar theme to others. AI, obviously, we've invested 10 billion plus in AI, so there's definitely going to be a lot going on in that space. But I think there's a real focus on reliability within our platform. So it's quite a mature platform. You know, Project Ibiza is the code name for Azure that it was back in the day. has really come a long way in its time. And there's a real sense of, okay, we're at a stable place now. How do we give more controls to our customers to control the reliability and resilience requirements that they need? So in hyperscalers, it's quite common that something will happen and you'll have no control over it, or a maintenance event will need to take place and it might be service impacting, and you've got no choice of when that may need to happen. That's all sort of controls that are being brought out in our services now that will allow you in some of our larger multi-tenanted services like Azure SQL or app services, where you can now have control of controlling your own maintenance windows, even in these larger multi-tenanted things that you're, effectively sharing with thousands of other customers, which is great for our enterprise customers because they need that control to be able to make those change windows. Sustainability is another great point, as Lacey brought up. There's a real focus as well. So Microsoft's targets are by 2030 to be carbon neutral, and by 2050 to be effectively take all the carbon back out of the atmosphere that we've put in as Microsoft since 1970. When we were founded. So it's quite a bold statement, but we're on track to do that. And you can see the reports that we publish every year to get there. And I think finally, research. So Microsoft do an awful lot in Cambridge on their research platform. And we've just acquired a company that is reinventing how fiber networking works by creating vacuums inside of fiber cables to make the speed of light even faster. So that's where you'll get the benefits into our cloud platform from that, which is insane. Go and read it. It's fascinating if you're into your science and physics. But yeah, lots more investments like that.
Thank you, Jack.
Honestly, not rehearsed.
The shriek of excitement from the audience there. It's the most engagement we've had all evening. Fantastic. So, now it's quiz time. Well, before we go to quiz time, just say thank you to all the panelists. You've heard the case for GCP. You've heard the case for AWS. You've heard the case for Microsoft Azure. You will have your chance to vote after the quiz. I'm going to hand you over to Zarina.
Thank you very much. Yes. What I have, though, is a host of more QR codes. Yay! So, yeah, thank you very much for the amazing panelists who are all representing the chosen cloud provider. What we have with Brighton Cloud is a really great inclusive community that brings everyone together, irrespective of which cloud platform they prefer or they work on, whether it's AWS, Microsoft Azure, GCP, Oracle, Alibaba, or Salesforce. What we really like about this community is the quarterly meetups that brings everyone together from that aspect. And also the vast different roles within technology. You've got, architecture, which I'm in, engineering, PMO, cybersecurity, data, AI. We do need to get a buzzer for that one. Or a counter that says how many times, and then a prize whoever gets to the nearest number from that aspect. And that's what we really envisioned for this Brighton Cloud community. We have recently created a LinkedIn group. We've intentionally made it a LinkedIn group as opposed to a page, purely because we want lots of other people in other communities, like the Sussex Azure, the Brighton AWS user group, and other communities from Tech Jumpstarts and other ones to also repost and to share content. So please join our LinkedIn community and feel free to share useful resources that could be useful for anyone, from seasoned professionals all the way to people who are looking at getting into cloud computing. So I've mentioned the QR codes you've got. All of May, you have a plethora of different events that you can attend. So you've got the Sussex Azure group, which is Responsible AI and Microsoft, which is on Tuesday, the 14th of May. You've also got the next AWS Brighton user group, and it's AWS Enterprise, which is Tuesday, the 7th of May. And of course, the next Brighton Cloud event, which will be Cloud and Learn and developing and building your cloud skills. And that's on the 22nd of May. And then the last one is the link to the QR code for the LinkedIn group. Right, so we will just want to say a big thank you to Runway East for sponsoring this event. So thank you very much. It's been a fantastic venue. As you mentioned, you can do walkthroughs and have a look at the space as well from that aspect. But let's go over and with the help of Charlie, hopefully get onto the Kahoots.
Yeah, you've got it all there.
Yeah. Perfect. Right, so... No, we can't. That's probably half the reason why me and Carla are also co-hosting, so we can't do it. Okay, so for those of you who've played Kahoot before, you know the drill, but otherwise, what you can look at doing is sign on to the QR code or go onto the website app and put in this game pin. You can put in your players. You can use a real or fake name. If you're like me, I like to play under the alias of various sci-fi characters, mainly Battlestar Galactica. Cool signs.
Just while people are signing
The thing
up,
is- yeah.
like I just wanted to mention the Sussex Azure User Group AI meetup is a collab. So it's the first for a Silicon Brighton event where we're actually collaborating with the Brighton AI user group as well. So it's going to be a fairly big turnout. We're hoping for like 100+ people. It's a platform 9. So please do come and sign up, get along. Some fantastic speakers, even from Sussex Uni as well on responsible AI. So a really mixed panel. So yeah, it's going to be an amazing event. So please do pop down.
Sounds great. Right, we'll wait a couple more minutes to get other people in. Santa Claus. You see, this is the fun thing.
You have to try and guess who is who.
Yeah.
Who's actually.
In my team, we had someone who put their name, not someone who was in the team, and they won, and no one would claim who it was. It was the most amount of suspense. It was amazing. Still convinced it was that person.
I wonder if the person that's called themselves Keith is actually Keith, and it's just someone else.
And you can change the icons as well, so you can make it really different.
Do you choose your icons? Or
You can choose them, or you can leave them by default. I do like a Kahoot quiz.
I think it's a win.
It is. Right, we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we'll look to kick off. Now, do remember the end of this Kahoot. So I'll be doing the first 5 questions and the latter ones will be with Carl. The end of it will be the poll about who from the talks that we've had and the panelists who will be voting for our the favorite cloud of today. So make sure you're in there. Is there anyone else struggling to get on? Or you're all in?
It's not compulsory.
It's not. It is.
Is everyone on who wants to be on? Yeah.
All good? Okay, let's start. Right, Kahoot. Now, we don't have the sound shared, but you are missing some fun sound. I love the Kahoot sound. 3, 2, 1. Quiz time. Right. Which cloud provider officially launched in 2011? Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure? Now, enjoy the gifts. I did hand select them. Right.
Is the gift a clue?
No.
Bezos has got the space station, isn't it?
Oh, no. I'm not that deep. Google Cloud Platform. For no bonus points, does anyone know who the first cloud provider was and what year? What was that? AWS? What year? 6. Oh! Yeah, I do. To be fair, one of the questions I've already wondered, one of my final ones, based on something from today. It is. Right, school board. Keith 2, was that the same as Keith 1?
Has he got 2 phones?
It is.
Personal and work phone or something?
Okay. Number 2, which cloud provider requires the renewal of certifications every year, apart from the other one, the lower level one? Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure? This was in one of the conversation topics. They did. Well done, Microsoft Azure. They were. I have to admit, I did do AZ104, and I put it on a domain which I didn't use and didn't renew. So I lost my Azure, so I have to redo it, where I could have sat that open book exam for the last 6 months, doing it every single day. Yeah. Now I have to redo the whole exam in order to get that one back. Okay. Right, what's that done to the skill board? Oh, it's all changed from that aspect. Right, let's do number 3. Which cloud platform does Netflix utilize for its streaming services, data storage, and computing needs? Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure?
There's John on TV. giving the answer.
Right. Amazon Web Services. Well done. Oh, still going. Oh, up 3 places. Keith is the highest climber. Well done. Not Keith too, though. No. Right. Question number 4. Uber uses AI agents to help their support team. Which cloud platform do they use for this? AWS, GCP, or Microsoft Azure? AI bot. 3, 2, 1. Closed. So Google Cloud Platform with that one, a bit of a split. It did. Right, the final question from me. It's a puzzle. So this is the one where you have to move things around, if you remember from different Kahoots. Order the cloud platforms from the highest to lowest based on the market share.
This is a paid feature.
I know, all the fences out. Alibaba, AWS, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. You have to move it around. This is double points as well. All to play for. It is. I do miss the music. It adds to the effect. Right. That is the order. AWS, Azure, GCP, and Alibaba. We didn't. Not yet, anyway. I'm keen on the Salesforce one because I am going towards that way with Trailhead and stuff like that. So if we open that up in the future, that'd be great. Right, over to Carl for the next 5 questions.
Thank you very much. Just a quick overview of the leaderboard. Attila is surging way ahead. He's been there since the second question, I think. So he's going to take some catching, but Sol is up 5 places. So it's still all to play for. Let me click. Where do I click? Go on then. Right. Which cloud provider hosts the back end of Airbnb, facilitating their dynamic pricing tools? Is it AWS, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure? Another room splitter. Attila is being caught. Charlie's catching him up. Which cloud platform states that 95% of Fortune 500 companies trust them with their business? Is it Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure? Isn't that the same GIF as the last question? I thought so. Yeah. And it was Microsoft Azure. So let's see what that's done to the leaderboard. Oh, Attila's surged ahead there. Opened up the gap on Charlie. But Unknown has a streak with 3 correct answers in a row. So well done, Unknown. On to the next question. Cloud Functions is the pay-as-you-go functional as a service. Faz, oh, is it from Amazon, Google, or Microsoft Azure? That was function as a service, but yeah, I know. It really threw me, that did. I knew what it was meant to say, but well, most of you seem to have got that right. It was Google Cloud Platform. Nobody can touch Attila. He's opened the gap up even more on Charlie now. But Unknown, well done. You got your 4th answer in the streak. On to question 9. Which cloud provider had Project Red Dog as the original project code name for their cloud platform? Was it Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure? Well, most of you got that wrong. It was actually Microsoft Azure.
What are the names, though? You asked me to say.
different internal code name, which is like was that a dig?
So let's see if Attila is still in the lead. Oh, no, we're not going to see, but we're going to do the poll. So based on today's panel, which cloud platform would you like to learn more about? Who is going to be crowned the Cloud Wars winner? Do we get to find out immediately?
Yes.
Do we need to get the crown? Oh. Well done, Jack. Microsoft Azure. Speech.
Thank you for choosing Microsoft Azure. It will help the stock price, so keep using. But yeah, honestly, go and learn, go and play. I think everything that everybody has said today from the panel applies, and the key learning is just go and play with it, go and get hands on, because the only way you really learn. And all of them have free offerings. So if you don't there's no need to worry about it. Most of them don't even need credit cards now. They've removed that requirement as well. So just go and get hands on, go and play with it, and you only learn by doing. And there's lots of free content out there as well. And come and join awesome communities like this. That is the key to really getting under the hood and understanding how these platforms really work, from hearing from the war wounds of people actually using these platforms. So yeah, come and join a user group, come and meet up with like-minded individuals, and you'll learn a lot.
Thank you, Jack. Well done to all the panelists. Thank you very much. Now all that remains to find out is who was the winner of the quiz. We don't know. It's Attila. But if I was a betting man, my money would be on Attila. In third place with 5,838 points was Adam. In second place with 5,986 points was Charlie. And the standout winner with 7,189 points was Attila. Well done, Attila. So there is a prize. We've forgotten it. But we've got a substitute prize for you. So Attila, if you'd like to come up and get the substitute prize. You can give me it.
Okay, it is.
The buzzer. Well done, Attila. Thank you, everyone, for playing. I'm going to hand back to Zarina to wrap up.
Thank you very much, everyone, for participating in Cloud Wars. And what we would like to do is to open up the floor to any questions which you have for the panelists based on the information which they have today. So were there any questions from the room in regards to the three topics or anything in general? Or was everything answered all within 3 minutes? Perfect. Let me hand over.
That is a roving line.
Oh, is that nice? Organized.
I'm coming from a Google Cloud background, so obviously BigQuery is very close to me. So what's the AWS and Azure version of it?
So from the Microsoft side, we have something called Synapse, which encompasses multiple data services like Hadoop and Big SQL and all those sort of things in one place. But Synapse is the sort of front end that lets you access all of those. However, that's all going on a massive rebrand. So you've probably heard of Power BI as a reporting tool. Everything's now being rebranded as Fabric, which is our new sort of SaaS offering for data warehousing, data management, whatever you want to do with data, effectively go to Fabric. And that will have a one lake behind it, which handles all your storage, integrates with Power BI, and all of the other data services are going to be wrapped under the Fabric banner. So go and look up Microsoft Fabric and you'll find everything you need.
AWS I don't know what BigQuery is. I can't really answer that.
Data
Oh, data warehouse. There's a few. It depends on your kind of data ingest. Depends on the data you're looking at. Redshift is probably the big one. That takes data from basically any source you like, and you can query it using SQL and SQL-like kind of things. There's other ways you can do that as well, but Redshift's probably the big one. There's what are the other ones? There's lake formation for big data lakes. There's cloud formation lake, CloudWatch lake, something or other lake. There's dozens, honestly. There's too many, and I don't remember most of them. I don't have that certificate.
Any other questions?
No. Keith one. Keith one.
I think you've just sort of hit on the main problem with all the clouds, John. It's like, I mean, I've only really played with AWS a little bit, and you just look at this array of choices and go, I don't know, I just want a thing that does a thing. And I suppose AI is going to be the answer now, isn't it? You ask,
Google.
you
Google
prompt the AI bots to tell you what you want. But how are any of the platforms dealing with that array of choice and array of rebranding and array of stupid names that don't tell you what it does?
So Amazon are leaning into the stupid names. What's this? I don't know. It's some sort of Greek god or something. Tool paralysis is an absolute problem, because even if you know which one you want, there's probably 3 things that do a version of that. So like that one. The party line is probably for Amazon. Go and ask Q, because they called it Q because they've never seen Star Trek. Go and ask the AI, and that will probably tell you the right thing, probably. And then the other party line is work with an AWS approved partner, and they can help you.
I can definitely. Yeah, there is a problem across cloud with iffy naming conventions. Let's be honest, they've all got their own versions, and they're not always immediately obvious. Kubernetes, for example.
Cloud Spanner.
Cloud Spanner, there are so many. One of the things I would recommend is work with your communities as well, as you've mentioned, but also find out what your business are actually doing, because there's usually about 10 to 15 different ways, if not more, to do a certain process. So what I always say is look to see what your business is doing, look to see what similar business is doing in terms of process, look at the white papers that people are publishing, and see if that guides you along the right process. Because whilst one process might work, actually you might not have anyone else in your business that can come and help you if you happen to go on holiday. So it is about making sure that you either build contingency or other people understand what you're doing. I think that's the key element, really. There are some great documents out there which do make it a little bit easier, which do comparison between the different products. And I don't know if AWS and Azure do this, but there's cheat sheets which make it a little bit more bite-sized. But there are a lot of tools at the moment, and you probably will only ever use a fragment of them tools. So it's about really making sure you understand them tools that you use, and then add little bits on as and when you need them.
Yeah, cool. On the Microsoft side, like we don't have the silly naming as much. Most things have got a sensible name. So like a virtual machine is called a virtual machine, like not EC2 or GCE or whatever else. So most of our services are pretty obvious from their names. Although we did rename Azure Active Directory to Entra ID, which all confused us, and I still call it AAD. So it'll get there eventually. We're actually taking a bit of a different approach in the portal experience now. So a good example is like load balancing, right? Like there are probably 5 different options for load balancing. You've got traffic manager, you've got front door, you've got a load balancer, you've got an application gateway, right? There are tons of different options. But now when you select in the portal any of those options, it brings you first to a selection screen. Go, whoa, what are your requirements and what do you want to do? And it will then take you through a series of questions, which will go, actually, this one over here is probably the one you actually need based on your requirements. So they're trying to bring that into the portal experience, which is great to see. And that's happening across like messaging services like Event Grid, Event Hub, Service Bus, all of those things. Like we're bringing similar experiences. But I think following on from Lacey's point, Architecture Center is our place to find sort of our white papers and reference architectures for end-to-end architectures. So don't go and try and invent, like, don't go and look for, I need a messaging service that does this bit. Go and look for that wider architecture of, like, I'm trying to achieve and solve this problem. What architectures and what other services stitch together to help me solve that problem? Because then you'll be like, well, I want to use that architecture, and I now understand why I need that particular service because it stitches well with that one, and that one. So go to Architecture Center and find a reference architecture and follow that is a great starting place. Don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody has definitely invented it first.
Any other questions from the room? Well, in that case, thank you very much for everyone for attending. Any final words, Carl?
No, just we're bang on time.
Oh, we're going to do a high five for that, to be fair. Well done. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining, and hopefully see you next time in one of the numerous events that we have available. Keep on clouding.